Hey friends, I wanted to talk to you a little bit today about how I practice out of the Harold Mitchell books. Harold Mitchell was a very famous studio trumpet player and trumpet teacher, and his son Ollie also was a studio player as well. And he wrote a series of books, 4 books essentially, on how to play the trumpet. And I really shouldn't say it's how to play the trumpet, but it's more of a series of lessons that have a collection of exercises in each lesson. And I've just kind of always loved these books. I had one of my early trumpet teachers got me started on book 1. And over the years, I managed to kind of collect all 4. I have the actual physical copies of the books. They're out of print and hard to find now. There is someone who has published them now, but you can also download them from QPress, which I've sent you the link where you get all 4 books for $40. But I wanted to show you a little bit about why I love it and how I use them, because I have found for me some of the best use is to not play them totally exactly as written. Now, let me specify that that's because the things that I need to work on as a player might be slightly different than yours, but maybe if you understand why I'm changing some of the exercises, maybe it'll help you to modify the exercises you practice so that your practice is more effective. So right now, this is book 2, and I'm on exercise 43, and so like a normal trumpet teacher, I assign myself a lesson, and usually, depending on how hard the lesson is, usually might take me 1 to 3 practices or so to get through a lesson, sometimes a little more. And the first thing he starts with are these tone and attack studies. Now, I usually do some kind of easy warm-up before doing these tone and attacks. Nothing really difficult. Maybe obviously some fluttering. Something like that. A little bit of mouthpiece buzzing, maybe a scale or 2. And then I get into these. I don't just start with this as a warm-up. And in fact, this is not a warm-up. This is where you're starting your practice. So you kind of warm up and be ready before you begin this, okay? And so what I like to do, is you kind of see my notes here, is because one of my struggles as a trumpet player is clean entrances, especially as we get towards the top of the staff. I'm bearing my soul here, okay? But we get above the staff, coming in cleanly on the note, is challenging for me. What I do is I put 2 measures of rest, essentially 8 rests between each grouping. So you can see you've got the way this thing's set up is it's basically 2 measures, and then he gives you a single beat. Well, I had 2 more measures of rest in there. So it's kind of making me having to sort of reset and come in on each note, okay? And it's critical that you use the metronome. So let me show you just how this works, although it's probably pretty simple. I'm sure you can figure it out. So I'm resetting. Wasn't the best entrance there, but that's fine. So I'm going to just go through it just like that, okay? Until I get to the end of the middle of the exercise. Well, I mean, I'm going to do the whole exercise. I'll just jump through the middle so you can hear me frack more. Well, I got lucky. Normally I would... I've already practiced this once today, so maybe that's why I didn't frack it as much as I did. Funny that I fracked the C sharp and not the stuff that was above the staff, but oh well. Got lucky on Facebook Live today. That's great. So that's why I do that one. And then the other thing I love about his stuff is he'll do all these like scale and interval studies, and he'll often tell you to do them in multiple keys. So you can see we've got an A and A flat, and I just write down my tempos of where I'm working on them. First time through, I always do the minimum tempo. And one of the things I love about this book is he gives you all kinds of little pithy sayings and things to kind of get you to think. The student who plans his future and charts his course will go much further than he who is just content to drift. To abandon study and practice when difficulties arise or the going gets hard will lead to failure. This book is chock full of that stuff. Some of it's like specifically trumpet related. Other stuff's just like words of wisdom, and it's wonderful. But so I'll do that always at the slow tempo, and then I'll start writing in the tempos, and I'm trying to get to the fastest tempo. Once I feel like I've mastered the tempo in the exercise, I'll put a mark through the exercise. If it's one that I'm struggling with, I'll check mark it so that I know to keep working on it. And I do that basically with every single exercise. I write a few notes to myself as just kind of reminders of the things I want to work on. So like when I think of doing lip slurs, to me, they're lip and air compression studies. That's how I think of lip slurs. And I do them. He's got lots of stuff for each slur, single tongue and double tongue. And so I make sure I'm tracking my tempos and stuff for each one of those things. And I just go through it and play them all that way. And one of his things that he's really dogmatic about is playing things slow so that when you play them fast comes unabided if you practice things correctly and perfectly, basically. That's something he says in here somewhere. Gosh, I wish I could find it right now just to tell you that, just so that you could see it because it's so perfect. Here's something he says. It takes compressed air to produce the tones in the high register and a volume of air for the low register. At all times, the column of air must be blown freely, steadily, and continuously. Exact breath support must support the lips at all times and provide the precise degree of power necessary for every pitch and degree of intensity from pianissimo to fortissimo. That's on the lip slur exercises. So it's just a really, really wonderful book, and it's one that I highly encourage you to get. Like I said, once I go through it and finish an exercise or a lesson, then I'll mark it off, and then I check off the next one. Now, sometimes I'll find that I can pretty much play the entire lesson, but there's one or two parts of an exercise that hold me up. I leave them check marked, and I just go, I'll assign myself the next lesson. There's no reason to sit there and stay on the same lesson over and over again, only because of one or two exercises. I won't let myself get more than 2 lessons ahead with still having unchecked things in the past, okay? Does that make sense? So it kind of keeps the ball moving forward. I'm challenging myself and things like that, but I'm not getting bogged down or bored just playing the same thing over and over again. A lot of times I find that once I've got something under my fingers, when I come back to it later, it's even better than what it was before. And I find that to be really useful for me. So a great way to practice the trumpet. And again, this is going to help you if your lip positions is good. Basically, your embouchure formation is good. It's going to help you if you know how to use your air and all those kind of stuff. This is going to build your skills. But if all this is messed up, lip position's wrong, you're not using the air properly, all this stuff's not going to help you, okay? And no written method book's going to help. You need to get the lip position, embouchure, and air flowing, working properly first before any of this stuff really helps. So there we go. I just thought I'd share that with you. Something simple today. Not tons of embouchure like we usually talk about, but playing exercises is important. So if you have any questions or thoughts, leave comments down below. See ya.